So guys, welcome to another episode of the Personal PR Show. And today we are here with Mark, who calls himself a clever idiot. Right, Mark?
I'm a very clever idiot, which could be the very idiot and clever is stuck in between. But I'm an idiot. I'm just very clever.
Oh my God. That's why, because you are a clever idiot, what you do, you organize your unconferences with a team of AI assistants, right?
Amongst other things, yes. But that's one of the ways that an idiot can be extremely performant at massive scale and help thousands of people is by being an idiot.
Yes, exactly. So
and using
good.
GPT is one of the ways of being an idiot, but still delivering stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. Awesome. Perfect. So this, guys, is going to be today's conversation with Mark. By the way, Mark is the founder of UnDavos. So you probably already know the Davos conference that takes place every single year in Davos, Switzerland. It's also called World Economic Forum, right? Those are the official events, and then there's a host of unofficial events, and then on top of that is also UnDavos, which is the unconference side of the World Economic Forum. Did I say anything wrong when I introduced UnDavos, or?
So it's not the unconferencing side of the World Economic Forum, because they'd get very upset because they're very, let's say, they're not overly happy, but they have no choice. Because actually the very first people to hack Davos and the World Economic Forum were the consulting firms. Cleaner has decided. The cleaner is doing some things. So the very first people to hack Davos and to make it then an unconference was actually people like McKinsey and Goldman Sachs. So they did this thing maybe 20 or 30 years ago. But so right now then UnDavos, what it's doing is that it's providing this unconferencing sort of layer to the side events. And that the side events cover about 70% of what's happening in Davos right now. The action of World Economic Forum is about 30%, and then Davos and the side events is 70%.
Crazy, right? It's amazing. Yeah. Wow. So how many people yeah, please.
Well, I mean, it's a change of the world. I mean, so right now, if you have a controlled structure, the problem that I found when I went to Davos first as a WEF attendee proper is that I paid my 30,000 ish to sort of attend. It was totally worth it because I was selling software and it was really worth it. But the thing is that they only have 2,700 tickets for the Congress Center. And obviously there's more than 2,700 cool people in the world with interesting projects. But then it just really got me that if you're doing a cause like human trafficking or sustainable agriculture in a very challenging environment, the WEF, even if they wanted you, would say, look, we discussed human trafficking last year, we'll cover it again in 5 years' time.
Okay.
So that meant for me that we needed to have ideally a way of pretty much sort of unconferencing this to make Davos much more sort of accessible to the right type of people, of whom there are tens of thousands. So that meant the democratizing Davos. And then I've been adding on extra pieces to make Davos even more useful.
Oh my God, when did you start that?
So my first, let's say, personal UnDavos experience was 2011. That was when I knew how to hack the system. And then by 2013, it became UnDavos, and it went from a group of about 5 people, and now it's about 5,000.
So many. Oh my God. Yes. And how many people do you have in your team apart from, of course, the 10 AI assistants?
Yeah. So it's so what tends to happen is that during Davos, things spike up. So there are about 6 volunteers that helped put the summit together this year. So we did an UnDavos summit in parallel to the WEF during that week. At the moment, I've got 1 person helping me part-time, and then I have 10 AIs helping me.
Wow, so good. Oh my God, such a big team. Yes. Wow. And how did he?
But I can fit those 10 people into my actual phone.
Yes, exactly.
Squeeze them in, yeah.
But Mark, how did you make it happen? Because I mean, having an idea is great, of course, but implementing it, executing on it is a totally different thing, right? And in the beginning, when we have to get something, we have to get started in something, we need a lot of activation energy. Then when the snowball effect starts, then the ball is rolling, so everything is easier, right? But in the beginning, it's so difficult to get traction. How did you do that? This is what fascinates me usually in movements, right?
Well, so the way that so the way that UnDavos started was that it was, so I have decade-long plans for things. So I'm not so much in a hurry. So particularly for this type of very, very influential world, you can't just sort of push something onto people in a short period of time. So for me, I came up with a 10-year plan to democratize Davos.
Ooh.
And now I'm on my next 10-year phase of the plan to do even more stuff.
Yeah.
So, but that meant that I did things where one small thing can lead to another. It was about who do we bring the first people in. There is also sometimes you take advantage of opportunities. So, like for example, when I first knew the secrets to Davos, I'd have to have 1 hour phone calls with my friends to talk them through it. So that took 30 hours. That's a lot of time for no money. So I then realized that I would forget things, and then I have to have another call. So I wrote things down in a document that became handy tips for Davos, which is still used now and updated every year. And that meant that if you need the information, just get the document.
Yeah.
Then it was a case, well, how do you find people? Well, if you're finding people individual to individual, it takes ages. But if there's already a network, a community of a group of 500 people, 1,000 people, just share it in the group. Here it is.
Yeah. Wow.
So
and what
that meant that it went from being small scale to big scale, and it just jumped and jumped, and it only slowed down because of COVID. Otherwise, we would have been much bigger by now.
Yes, absolutely. Wow. And I think that, I mean, I don't know, this is my question, but do you think that it was, let's say, decisive that you shaped this as a movement, as opposed to just, I don't know, an unconference? Because to me, it sounds like a movement, right? That repeats every single year. There's an iteration every year during the WEF, right? Exactly. But it's like more of a movement instead of just an unconference. Would you say?
Well, to some extent, it's even less than a movement.
Oh.
So, yeah, which is quite bizarre. Because what happens is that people at Davos, I mean, they're very, so relatively few people say, I'm here as part of the UnDavos army. Now, more of them are doing that over time. But the vast majority are there for the specific reason that they want to go to Davos, and either they want to have a better experience than just the WEF experience. So to do that, they need extra information, or the WEF hasn't invited them. Maybe they were invited in the past or they're never invited. And unless they go in through UnDavos, they basically are stuck in an empty place.
Yeah.
So right now, most people coming most of the time, at least for now, are relatively transactional based, because they're still spending whatever, $5,000 to be there for the week as a minimum. They need to get their stuff done. So right now, UnDavos never made manifestos or commitments to say, you shall do this. Now, we do actually steer to do that over time, and that's actually been sort of part of the goal, but it hasn't been overly demanding as to getting people in.
Yeah.
But that's partially because for this particular type of network, which is the highest people in all ranges of society, you can't tell them what to do. You can't even suggest. Sometimes you shouldn't tell them what to do. You should let them figure it out for themselves. So there's sort of particular ways of, let's say, herding this type of cat.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's herding. So this is all about herding cats. Very, very smart, intelligent cats.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. Yes, let's talk about super connecting for a second, because this is one of the pillars of personal PR. I'm a personal PR strategist, but also at heart, to be honest, I'm a global super connector, right? And in global super connecting, we talk about networking, we talk about community building, we talk about strategic partnerships, like many, many things, everything that relates, to building relationships and nurturing relationships with people in different formats. So, what would you say about super connecting? How did it help you when creating and also expanding UnDavos? So did you focus on strategic partnerships? Did you focus more on community building? What was the main focus for you?
It was more, given the nature of this community, then it's been about community building and things to support individual community members, so spending personal time in developing things, but then also thinking on behalf of the community to say, what are these people likely to need next, and giving it to them.
Yeah.
So really to just sort of be there to be helpful, to say, okay, you haven't thought about it yet, but you need to have an apartment to stay at in Davos. And by the way, I have some apartments. But it's also then me thinking on behalf of them, but not on behalf of me, because this is another thing. So I don't have any children that I'm bringing to Davos. However, there are people that do, and they need to work out, well, how does babysitting work? Well, if I find that out, even if it's irrelevant for me, it's useful for the community.
Yes.
So there's this whole sense of, let's say, sharing things that are useful for the community that is there. Another thing is a little bit being a policeman, or let's say a shepherd. Because what happens then is that, I mean, now this community is a Telegram group, and UnDavos is 2,000 people.
Wow.
And that means that if we're not careful, you send a message to say, hey, yo, thumbs up as 3 separate messages. It means potentially 2,000 of the world's most important phones go ping at the same time. Very annoying. So these people sometimes need a little bit of a slap just to say, stop it. And if you do it twice, I kick you out of the group forever.
Yes.
So there is, the community therefore likes the fact that this is a curated group. So it's hard to get, everybody that comes in now gets curated. So I need to know who they are, what's your LinkedIn, does it fit? I then, once people are in, we establish like sort of, here are the ground rules, but through practice, share things, help other people, don't be an arsehole, that kind of thing. And can we tell that it works? Well, right now, the WEF has 3,000 delegates and 1,000 strategic partner tickets, and UnDavos is about 5,000 people. So has it worked? Well, UnDavos started off as me, and then a few others, and now it's 5,000 strong. So has it worked? Sure. And will it do even more? Absolutely, yes. And it'll then it goes into how do we grow it, both in the context of Davos, but then beyond Davos as well.
Yes. Oh my God, you must have got so much attention. I mean, it's certain you've just illustrated this to us. But my question now is, did you get attention from the media? And at which stage of this 10-year, or actually even 12 and 13-year journey, did the media start reaching out to you?
Almost none. If you have a look, I challenge you to have a look for UnDavos in the media. You'll find out we're like a secret that doesn't exist.
Oh my God. So you never reached out to the media proactively either.
Actually, have you ever seen the movie Fight Club?
I've heard of it.
If you've heard of it. So there's Tyler Durden, Brad Pitt. So for those of you that are listening that knows the reference, I'm the closest to Tyler Durden that you might meet, although I don't do the bloody stuff. It's looking at how do you create networks and systems to help make change at scale. Well, yeah. The first rule of Fight Club is that you don't talk about Fight Club. The second rule is you don't talk about Fight Club. So the way that this community was started, there's also a case when you're developing these really strong communities, you start off with, let's say, in order to get it started off as an unconferencing way of doing Davos. It also was kind of underground. Okay. Because even though the people starting it were WEF members, you weren't really meant to do it. But what does that mean, we weren't meant to do it? Well, we weren't meant to go to a town that is completely open, to go to a hotel that is completely open if you hand over your passport, and we weren't allowed to sort of go into the events just like the bankers and accountants. But why shouldn't we go there? Because we're officially members. Well, screw you. Nobody tells me what to go do. Nobody. Okay, maybe, but I won't listen to them. Yeah. So gradually then at the beginning, most people were very afraid. And they didn't want to go. But then gradually there were certain things that made people stop being afraid, and then more people would go. Then they would have a fantastic time and they would tell their friends. And so this is then every year double, 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 double type of thing. But then there hasn't been any particular need to get press. There hasn't been any interest of reaching out to get press. I have volunteered. So look, if you want to write a story, you can do, but I'm not going to ask you to. But it remains a sort of cool, delicious secret, even to the extent of journalists able to use UnDavos to go to events. Exactly. And then it doesn't occur to them to even write about it. It's fantastic.
As a publicist, I'm very surprised, to be honest. I'm like, this is so good. The world needs to know about it. This is the way I think.
It's a secret. It's a secret. Yeah. Don't tell people about it. Be like, well, don't tell people about what?
Yeah, because this is super newsworthy. It's even more newsworthier than the official stuff that is going on at WEF, to be honest.
Well, actually, and if we talk about that, so the downside, the WEF's problem is that they've got so many partners, so they also charge 250,000 to be a WEF member these days, which means that, like, from a poorer country, the biggest companies can't afford that. Exactly. So you end up with a bunch of very wealthy companies being able to go there. So that means that the conversation isn't relevant.
Yeah.
It genuinely isn't very relevant.
Yes. Whereas the conversation is relevant at UnDavos, of course, because it's democratic and everybody can attend, right? From every
not everybody. You still have to afford 5,000 for a sleeping bag. I mean, even it's still in Switzerland, where it still costs $50 to have a bowl of pasta. So it's not quite that everybody can attend, although we are making it more inclusive every time. But it means that many more people can attend. But what really happens is that at the WEF, they have to stage manage everything.
Yeah.
That means that they could spend a month preparing a conversation about, well, their half-hour panel on wildfires has been stage managed down to the word. Well, UnDavos isn't like that. So in UnDavos, you have very much authentic conversations. So I built a format for the UnDavos Summit that we put together around big questions. And so that means every topic, we take industry themes. So this year, we're going to have at least 30 industry, half-day industry conferences. And often it's going to be built around big questions around the industry.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's going to be so good. I didn't catch
That'd be great fun.
Yes, exactly. Newsworthy, I repeat. The press will have to talk about it.
But then it's also quite fun because then you get into the Davos spirit. So I'm hoping to get a TV studio, which will be on the Promenade. You know the Promenade?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I didn't catch you 3 months ago, but I was there as well. We were there at the same time. Yeah.
So it's there's a space there where I have a bunch of I have a very small space, like 3 square meters. It's a tiny place, but I'm going to put a TV studio in there.
Oh my God.
So now you'll be able to do your Davos interviews live, and I can then work with media companies that they can have their journalists there with a digital backdrop, interviewing the key elite people that are there. Be super fun. And they're in this sort of 3 meter square, basically advert box. It'd be very funny.
Yeah, it would be a lot of fun. I have to visit you there. Yeah, we'll stay in touch for that. Yeah. Oh my God, I have to interview you in real life, in person as well, not just here on Zoom. I interview you again.
This would make sense. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's going to be so good. We have to stay in touch. Yes. Oh my God, thank you so much, Mark, for this lovely interview. We learned so much about UnDavos, and we all have to attend. I mean, for me, it's easy because it's just like 2 hours away from here, of course. But guys, if you are not in Switzerland, but you want to attend, you can start, blocking that week already. It's going to be in January, 3rd week of January, usually, right?
It's the 15th to the 19th of January 24.
Perfect. Exactly. So guys, you can already save the date or save the week, right? And start already saving money because Switzerland is expensive, as Mark said.
Yeah. Well, and and the thing about Davos is that, it's very hard to make Davos cheap. But what does happen is that because it's expensive by and large, it's not as expensive as the WEF, it means you get very serious people across every domain of society. So if you want to meet lots of serious people, but also for me, it's like living in a magazine for a week. And your magazine has got the best article on space, the best article on health, the best article on robots, the best articles on everything. And you meet the people. It's just fantastic. There's nothing like it. It's like this bizarre Burning Man business souk kind of, it's just nothing like it.
Oh my God, the Burning Man of Davos.
I will have a Burning Man party this year is the plan.
This year,
meaning... come to the Burning Man party?
No, I've never been to.
24.
24. Okay, good.
Yeah, so I'm planning a party which will be, because I had the masquerade party on Thursday. Sexy version, not these ones. And then I've got I'm planning a Burning Man party on the Wednesday.
On the Wednesday as well. Okay, so we have to go. We have to be there the whole week to attend every single event that is happening during the day and during the evening as well.
It is actually recommended because you can't rent a hotel by the day. So it's pretty much you pay for the week and that's it. So more and more people are coming in on Saturday and leaving on Saturday. So it gives you the full-on experience and you can get everything. But yes, if anybody is interested on Davos, if you're worthy, you will find me.
Yes, totally. Or you can get in touch with me and then I can put you in touch with Mark.
Yeah, there you go. That's another way of doing it.
You're not very easy to be found, I know, but I'm easy to be found. So people can reach out to me.
There we go. That totally works.
You,
And we can have a
it's
separate chat too.
yeah, so good. Oh my God, Mark, thank you so much for gracing us with, first of all, your presence, your charming presence, number one. And number two, with all of this underground info that I found totally newsworthy. So good. I mean, this
Lots
is,
of fun.
yeah. This is so, oh my God, this is like no, I'm not going to say a cult, but that feels like really underground, really like much more underground than I thought. Wow.
Okay. So I did so this year I bought 35 cloaks. You know, these sort of like Red Riding Hood cloaks. I bought 35 of them in different colors. I was going to do a little art project in the garage as a secret society meeting. We did actually use it for one party. It was very funny. But even if we just look at, let's say, sort of somebody had to have the spirit or fun to say, let's buy some cloaks and masks. That was me. Then you have to have, if you have the first people wearing it, I'm sure you would wear one of these things because it's fun. Then other people think, wow, she's cool, he's cool. I want to be with the cool people. I'll wear one too. But it actually means that to prepare it meant that somebody, me, 3 weeks or 4 weeks before the event, had to imagine how these things would be used, go onto Amazon and buy 35 cloaks. But then imagine sitting there thinking, should I buy 35 black cloaks? Maybe we should have a different color. And then I thought, well, why should I choose? I'm not God. I don't have the right to decide for anybody, and God doesn't do a particularly good job either. So maybe. So in that case, then why should I choose? I'll just buy whatever, 5 of each. And so I just have whatever, 8 or 9 different colors, and you can just pick whatever you want.
Yes, exactly. Oh my God. Yes.
Great fun.
Great fun. Absolutely.
Spirit.
We have to join UnDavos next year. Please, guys, reach out to me if you have any questions for Mark, and then I'll put you in touch if he wants, of course. And yes, and let's stay in touch. I have to interview you again before January. You have to come back to the Personal PR show, please, Mark.
Oh, for sure. And we have to talk about GPT on another time.
Please, exactly. A team.
AI for personal branding.
Yes, yes. ChatGPT for personal branding. This is great. Wow, so much fun. Thank you so much, Mark. This has been amazing. We'll talk to you very, very soon again here on the Personal PR Show.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Bye. Bye, guys. And I'll see you very soon for another episode of the Personal PR Show. Ciao.